Guys, good morning. Happy Sunday. It's Daryl here. It is 9 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Just wanted to do a quick video today, Sunday morning. It's 9 a.m. now. There's a protest at a city very close to here, Waterbury, Connecticut, on the Green at 10 a.m. So I'm kind of working out the logistics to get there. Last thing I think I really want to do is park one of my own vehicles near the center of a protest. But anyway, I want to talk a little bit about how Donald Trump and some of the right have been saying that there's a lot of antifa now. That it's not about George Floyd at this point. That there's a lot of antifa involved and lunatic radical left. And I was thinking about this, and I just recently, just not even 15 minutes ago, I was watching a live TV broadcast from Mayor Cuomo in New York City, and he was talking about how this is built up for a while. That it's really not just about this one incident. When we keep marginalizing these things as just one incident and then forgetting about it and writing it off, it's really just going to keep happening. It's built up for a while. I think the more things when you have a situation that keeps going on and it's ignored. Eventually, it just builds up. It's like shaking up a can of soda. Eventually, there's gonna be a big explosion when you open that up. So yeah, I was thinking about this thing about antifa. And that's another thing though. Antifa. It's a. There's no card-carrying members of Antifa. Anybody you could call if you were conservative on the right, you could really call anybody Antifa. I mean, as we all know, Antifa means anti-fascist, which personally I think is a good thing. With Hitler and Mussolini being fascists, it's a very patriotic thing. Fascism is very un-American, so being against fascism should be considered patriotic. That's how I look at it. So I think, yeah, I think there's a lot of frustration. Like I said yesterday too in a video, there's all different skin colors in these crowds, in these protests, and it is about George Floyd, and the anger over his death, his murder. But I think there's a lot of other factors, a lot of other frustrations that are all. That's why I think you see this spreading across the whole country, and not just going on day after day. It's blowing off steam. It's making a point of what's going on. You know what I want to bring up? Let's take for instance Michigan, the protesters there. When they were protesting the social distancing, what we had there was a group of heavily armed white men that forced and pushed their way into the State House, the Michigan State House, with the police not even batting an eye. I saw plenty of rebel flags, Nazi flags. I don't know, but without a doubt I saw rebel flags. So let's look at that. Everybody across the whole country sees that. Black people, brown people, white people, red people, we all see that. And to a lot of people, that Confederate flag means the oppression of black people, of Indian people, minorities, slavery. And what we witnessed there was it just being allowed. And let's look at it. What exactly does a rebel flag and being armed to the teeth have to do with social distancing, wearing masks, and this virus? What does carrying these AR-15s and everything else they were carrying that day, what does that have to do with social distancing? To the rest of the country, to people to minorities, to me, it looked threatening. It looked very threatening. And the fact that it was allowed, they were allowed to just push their way in and then take pictures. Um, it was scary. It was scary for those of us who, the other 70% of us who aren't Trump supporters. Um, they look like brown shirts, like the fascists from the 1930s. That's what it reminded me of. And I'm sure that's in the minds of a lot of people. Um, you know, I mean, the main reason the protests are going on are George Floyd, but there's a lot of other issues. Let me point out one other thing. Um, Look at General Flynn. Admittedly committed felonies, lied to the Vice President of the United States, admitted it, convicted, everything, and then let go. Where was the justice there? And then let's take George Floyd. Look at George Floyd, murdered for what? For supposedly, possibly passing a bad check or whatever it was he did. Just murdered in the street while the other police looked on. So you have an admitted convicted felon being released from jail by the Attorney General of the United States, just saying, well, forget about it. You can go free. And can you, to people like me, to a lot of people, to a large percentage of the United States, this is an injustice. It's, and you look at the Arbery case. Initially, there was no charge. Um, the father and son claimed self-defense, which is a joke. It's ridiculous that you chase down a black man jogging, shoot him, and then come and claim that you were defending yourselves. That's just, this. So this all these protests, this anger that you see going across the country. Yeah, of course I can understand it. It's another thing I want to talk about too. I have a tendency to speak from my heart. Yeah, at heart I know I'm not a bad person, and a lot of times I figure if I just go with what I believe in my heart. And I think it was Wednesday when I talked about these riots, and like I said, I can't condemn them. I don't agree with violence. Violence has never had good results for me, but I can't condemn them. And I said I understand them. I empathize with those people. And I caught some flack for it. And initially, it was just happening. And I tell you the truth, I wasn't really sure how. I just spoke right off from my heart, and I didn't know how it was going to be taken. And I did the right thing. I did the right thing because I think now speaking from your heart is never a bad thing, as long as your heart's in the right place. And you see now a large part of the country understands what's going on. It's frustration that's built up for a long time. It's everybody agrees that people's businesses being destroyed and burnt down isn't an answer. But sometimes, well, here's a quote that I've heard a lot of conservative right side people saying. Here's a quote: sometimes when you're making omelets, you got to break some eggs. And that pretty much sums it up. Yeah. So I mean, the thing in Michigan, those white people armed to the teeth, storming the Capitol, flying the rebel flag. I mean, how do you think the rest of the country took that and looked at that? The people that aren't foolish Trump supporters, blind robots that follow Trump. How do you think the rest of the country took that? It was threatening. It was a threat. The rebel flag, armed white guys just storming in, not even being stopped, not being arrested. A lot of people saw that. The whole country saw that. And that's just one incident. Virginia, with the girl being run over, and Trump referring to them as very fine people. The tiki torches. This stuff's been building up for a while. So it's no surprise. It's understandable. So it's getting close to 10 a.m. I gotta get going. You guys have a good Sunday.